Have you heard about Anchor? Well, it's one of the easiest ways to create a podcast. Not only is it 100% free, but it has a variety of creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or a computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast to other sites such as Spotify, Apple Podcast, and many others for you. And Anchor even allows you to make money from your podcast without a required minimum listenership. So whether you've been in the podcasting game for a long time or you're completely new to it, Anchor is so user-friendly that it's basically your one-stop shop for making a podcast. So what are you waiting for? Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started.
You're listening to First Fossil. Because sometimes you simply need someone to help you take that first fossil.
Hello and welcome to First Fossil, a show where we learn together how to take that first fossil toward becoming the best versions of ourselves. My name is Candace Olushala, and today's special guest is the CEO of Come On Creative. He's one of my dearest friends. We've been friends for like 10 years now. Wild. And I met him through my older brother. They're super great friends. You're going to love his personality. You'll understand it the second he comes on. So without further ado, please welcome my good friend and big brother, Calvin Noel. How's it going, Calvin?
Candace, what's up?
Hey.
How are you? I'm laughing because I'm like, it's so great to see and hear you again.
Yes. How's it with you?
You know, I can't complain. Life is going good here. I live in Nashville and I can't complain today. Today has been a really great day.
So good.
Yeah.
How have things been overall, especially since the pandemic started?
You know, it's been challenging. It's had its challenges, but for the most part, you know, God has been very faithful to sustain us through the pandemic. And I think I've been more creative than I've ever been in the pandemic. So it's kind of, you know, been a hidden blessing, you know, because sometimes I don't think I would have been as creative as I have been, you know,
Wow.
during this. So it's a perfect storm, I guess. That's what I'm trying to say.
I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
Why don't you tell the people a little bit about yourself? Because you have quite quite the background. So
Yeah, well, I always have to say on LinkedIn, it's like, okay, you got to use a bunch of commas in explaining what I do. But I live here in Nashville, and I run a marketing agency called Come On Creative. We are a content agency. We do things from video production, strategy, social media, websites, design, graphics, video. I mean, you run digital ads. We're just a full-blown ad agency. Um, and so the biggest thing that I am learning, you know, through that is like, well, man, I love to sing. I've sing professionally. I've managed artists before. I've traveled with well-known people from Michael W. Smith to CeCe Winans. I've sang with Stevie Wonder, Michael McDonald. I mean, I've done a lot of that. And then, you know, I'm a man of faith. You know, I love to speak and travel and sing around the world and lead worship. I do that as well. And but I do love marketing, and I love creativity, and I love being around creative people. And I met you and your brother. I'm the guy that kind of finds potential before they make it. So even like your brother, I found your brother online on YouTube, and he lived with me before the sing off, and now he's big time in pentatonics. And so I
yeah.
just take pride in finding people that I think are very talented and believing in them, you know. So that's kind of who I am in a nutshell. I'm a man of many talents, and I hope to be known as a master of all of them, but but you know, I feel like I'm having good impact right now, so I'm grateful.
Wow. I love this. Dude, you guys, you don't understand like who Calvin is and what he does and how he impacts people, the way that he sees gems in the rough and he sees them as gems when other people see them as in the rough. Yo, like it is only the grace of God that is absolutely blessing you the way that you are because of how you've blessed other people. And so I truly, truly love what you do, what you're doing, the traction it's getting. The Lord is letting the people come on. They need to know. You know what I'm saying? So I'm here all for it. So guys, please go check him out. I think it's comeon.agency. Is that right?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
You guys gotta go check him out because they're fantastic. So I'm curious because you've had such a wide variety of experiences. What for you would be considered a pivotal first step or first Basso experience that has impacted your life powerfully?
Yeah. This has kind of happened in the last year when I started my company, Come On Creative. The biggest thing that I can just say that it was really pivotal for me was I decided to finally bet on myself
Mm.
and believe in myself. And long story short, I'm a big fan of Oprah Winfrey.
Oh my
And if
God.
you see me on the street, I'm almost wanting to tell you my name's Calvin Winfrey. That's how much I love Oprah because she really has influenced my life greatly.
Yes.
Um, but I was listening to her speak at a conference in January of 2020. And I was kind of like, it was my new year, and I'm real big on New Year mantras and what am I going to do this year? And I was sitting there in the audience, and she was just talking about her success that she's had. And she said, this is the year that you really need to bet on yourself. She said, bet on yourself and double down on it. And for
Wow.
whatever reason, I just took that and I just said, you know what? I really believe in myself because I had started seeing myself in the last couple years be real busy. And I just said, man, I wish I could clone myself. I would say that, like, I wish I could clone myself and have another me working, doing some of the projects and ventures that I was doing. And I decided to believe in myself. And that has been the greatest journey for me in this last year, with this company and seeing doors open all because I believed in myself. And that's where I feel my first step was just like it was huge. It allowed me to leave the other agencies that I was working for and say, hey, thank you for this time and experience. But I really feel like I wanted to create something on my own.
Mm.
And that's what I did. I believed in myself and started Come On Creative.
Wow. That okay. This is hitting me on a personal level because
Okay.
I just left my 9 to 5 to pursue being a full-time creative,
Right.
something that I've always done on the side or even as a
Mm-hmm.
hobby, but to actually step out and say, no, I believe in myself. I believe in my talent. I'm gonna I'm gonna do this. And also loving Auntie Oprah myself. Just I I'm curious, was there a time before last year where you maybe thought of doing it and then got scared? Or was last year really the first time that it kind of the light bulb hit for you?
Yeah. The light bulb hit me last year when I said, oh, that's what I need to do. I was kind of getting uneasy in the jobs that I was in.
Mm.
And I just felt like, okay, I'm going to have to either fight with the people where I'm at or do something different. And betting on myself allowed me to make the first step. Now, once I made the first step, there was a thing called COVID-19 that happened after I had already launched.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, man, if that would have happened just a week or two before I started, I would have never left the other job that I was at, because I would have been wanting to be safe. You know what I mean?
Mercy.
So I was kind of glad. I mean, I guess now I'm glad that God didn't, he spoke it and I acted quick enough,
Mm.
to make it happen. But I will say that I started off very scared, because I'm like, wait a minute, I just started a business. And what do you mean there's this thing called a pandemic? Like, what are you talking about? You know,
Wow. Oh my
I was
goodness.
like petrified. I had some clients and doors had started opening, because people were confused about how do we navigate the pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
So that created opportunities for me to help people with marketing or campaigns, or one of my clients was Promise Keepers, and they were doing a national conference, but they had to pivot during the pandemic and do a whole virtual conference. Well, that opened up for us to still have work, because now we're teaching people how to do virtual conferences. So
Mm-hmm.
there was a blessing in the storm, but initially I wouldn't have stepped out as far as I would have started my own company, and there's a pandemic, and knowing what COVID has done,
Mm-hmm.
there's no way I would have started. But
Wow.
I had already said I'm believing in myself, and I mean I'm literally 2 weeks into it, and it's like pandemic.
Man.
Yeah, pretty crazy.
Yes. But then you had that video of you basically doing Come On Creative in a puppet
Yes, and so
version. How did that even come
yes.
about?
Okay, so I started Come On Creative, and it was all about believing in myself. Okay,
Hmm.
so my next year, 2021, I was like, okay, I believed in myself. What do I do next? And
Okay.
I was just like, you got to make belief happen. You got to make it happen. Like, belief is not something you feel; it's something you decide.
Mercy.
You
Say
got to
that
decide.
again.
Belief isn't something that you feel, it's something you decide. You have to decide to be belief, or you have to decide to be confident. You don't just feel confident, you
Mm.
make the decision to be confident,
Okay.
And so
Yes.
I was like, and then I was thinking of the things that Oprah would say. Here I am, I'm like, Oprah's like, you gotta, basically she says, you don't become what you want, you become what you believe is possible.
Wow.
And so she was basically, I was watching some episodes of her talk, and she was talking about Jim Carrey, how he would like drive down a certain street and manifest that he was going to live in this house one day, and blah 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 blah. And they were just talking about manifesting things that weren't in reality,
Mm.
and bringing those into your reality by just the way that you think. So I had said, well, what if I do something to make believe happen? And I was like, ooh, make believe, and I was just like, ooh, make believe. What's make believe? I'm thinking cartoons and puppets were make believe. And I was like, man, a lot of people don't do anything with puppets. And so I was like, what if I did something with puppets? Because in marketing, they say content is king, but attention is queen. Like, it's
Mm.
one thing to get people's attention with content, but you also got to get there. It's one thing to say make content, because we're saying content is king. You got to make content. But now that you make it, how do you get their attention?
Yeah.
And so my thing was like, well, no, a lot of people aren't doing anything with puppets. And I was like,
Yeah.
what if I buy these puppets? I'm gonna call one of these puppets Calvin. These other people are gonna be my coworkers, and this little black lady puppet, I'm gonna make her Oprah Winfrey.
Yes.
And so I said, here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna act like Oprah came. What would it be like if Oprah came to my office?
Mm.
And so I acted out a skit, and I took YouTube clips, sound bites of Oprah on YouTube talking about anything, and we pieced it together like it was a full conversation that she had with me.
Yeah.
And so we were make believing that Calvin met Oprah. I freaked out, and I made it comedic and funny. Well, make a long story short, Oprah magazine, Oprah Daily, had reached out to me about, man, we love this. We love to pick your brain about how you created this. We think it's cool. Make a long story short, they picked my brain. I'm on a Zoom call with them, and the guy was like, "Have you ever met Oprah?" I was like, "No, I've never met her. Love to meet her one day." And next thing I know, his screen went away, and here comes Oprah on my screen.
Stop it.
Yes, Oprah surprised me.
What?
Yes, and she just talked to me like she knew me, and she thanked me. She was like, "This is better than receiving an Oscar, Academy Award." She said, "Because you nailed everything that I've been trying to teach people, and you did it all in one episode."
Mercy.
So
Wow.
she's singing my praises. She's basically saying, "Calvin, you are part of my legacy." And I'm like, "I told you guys I was Oprah Winfrey's son." Like, I'm thinking in my mind, I was like, "I told you,"
Wow.
and so there it is happening. And I had to make belief happen. I had to really decide, like, you know what, think outside the box and create the future that I was looking for. And I think that's the beauty of what I'm trying to tell people is, belief isn't just something that just happens. You got to decide it. You got to see it and just make that thing happen. You know what I mean? Kind of like what you're doing. You're going about it. You're saying, "Hey, I think God's called me to do other things outside of pharmacy, and you got to put it into place,
Yeah.
And that's just kind of what I did. And you stay consistent. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it kind of unfolds. Now, did I get everything I wanted out of it? No, because there's still more,
Mm.
but it was a great first step. And it gave me the confidence to say, if I never do anything else with Oprah Winfrey, I have the superpower now that knows how to unlock potential, if that makes sense.
Yes.
So I'm more aware of what I possess internally.
Wow.
So that's how it all worked out.
Wow. I'm gonna be mad
Crazy.
honest. You just spoke to me directly to my soul. The things that I have been processing and sitting in my decision to take this is my first Basso experience, my first step into something that I believe I can do. I know I can do it. I know what is in me.
Mm-hmm.
And then just seeing the doors open and realizing there are doors, they're open. I can walk through them. Right.
Right.
And just continuing to have the faith to do that and remembering to picture. I literally just I was reading. I was listening to an audiobook today that was saying to choose to believe, to choose to picture that. Use your imagination. This has been a recurring theme. I watched a sermon with Pastor Mike Todd with the Crazy Year of Faith series that he's doing and talking about you have to picture. The imagination is a gift from God. Use it.
Yeah.
That is where his stamp is in us. Right.
And that's exactly what I did. I just used my imagination. Like, anything's possible to me in my land of make believe.
Yes.
I'm like, I'll make myself meet Justin Bieber if that's who I want. I'll make a Justin Bieber puppet, put a couple tattoos on him. Next thing you know, it's like I met him. I may not have met him in the natural, but I met him on this make-believe platform.
Yep.
And then sometimes it just works out that people are like, "Man, I loved it." And they reach out and you're like, "Whoa, I never thought that it would turn into that." But it is doing that. It is believing in yourself. And like Oprah says, I love what she said, is you don't become what you want, you become what you believe is possible.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I love what you're doing, and you're taking your first steps. And that's how everybody has to do it to make it anywhere,
Yeah.
So yeah, and I think technology is helping us to be able to do that at a greater level than people could even do 10 years ago,
Yeah.
So thank God for technology.
Yes. Yes, truly. Everybody had to get a crash course in technology at least last year.
Well,
If they
you
weren't
know
trying
what,
to.
Candace? That's what happened. You know what? I will say this. When I started my company, the pandemic happened. I panicked real briefly. And then I said, wait a minute, hold on. I started knowing that everybody had to do their shows on Zoom.
Boom.
And I was like, Oprah, Ellen, Wendy Williams.
Yep.
Everybody's shows look
The
like my
View,
show.
The Real, everybody. Everybody was on Zoom.
Everybody was on Zoom. And I said, the playing field has been leveled. They got to use what I got to use.
Yes.
And that's what it was. That's really what it was, where I was saying, wait a minute. I need to be playing offense in this season versus defense. Because I realized everybody was playing defense like, oh my gosh, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? What are we going to do? But then there's some people that's going to take this thing and say, ooh, the playing field's level. My show looks just as good as Oprah's show.
Yeah.
My show looks like Ellen's show because they got to use the same laptop I got.
Yep.
So the playing field was level. And that's when I started realizing we're not really far from them like we think we are. You know, there's just bigger TVs and bigger money that's involved, but we have the same content that they have. They just had a bigger reach.
Right.
You know, and so anyway, that was a real strong epiphany that I had during the pandemic, was play offense versus defense. You know, don't let the circumstance guide you. You use this as an opportunity to create something even in the midst of this. So that's what I did.
Man, I have to sit in this. I really do. I do. I do. I need to sit and
come on and sit in it.
In this, I'm just gonna get myself all saturated in this one because this is speaking to my soul. Let me tell you something, Calvin. The way that you're talking about how, you know, God just kind of set up 2020 to be pretty impactful in ways that most of us were not expecting, and whether we recognize the positive impact or not was up to each and every one of us. But I'm listening to what you're saying, and I'm listening to how you were intentional to see how things could still play out in your favor despite what's going on in the world, and how God was keeping doors open for you despite that. Anyone who's listened to my podcast in the past, you guys already know that when I started the podcast last year, I kept mentioning in different episodes how each episode was speaking, whether the guest had no clue that what they chose to speak about was hitting something I was in that very moment trying to figure out, and it was answering my questions. This podcast literally did the same thing. And it's been consistent for almost every single guest episode I've done, where God has used it.
And you got to stay with the Candace, because you know, one thing I've learned about podcasts, and I've talked to people that do bunch of podcasts, he said the thing that really separates a good podcast from a bad one is people that stay consistent. Most people don't stay consistent with podcasting. That's the secret sauce. Is you keep showing up doing it. It will morph into more and more and more and more, and you'll look back, because most people get tired of busy and they don't keep it going.
Right.
You know, I've had podcasts where I'm like, oh my gosh, it just got so busy. I just couldn't keep up there with the episodes, you know?
Yeah.
So it's like, don't despise the small beginnings. You know, this is how it gets done, you know?
Yeah.
You have a podcast that you've been doing for this long, and then it turns into a year, then it turns into 2 years and 3 years and we're celebrating 25 years. Candace and Lucilla,
Yes,
that's
yes,
how it works.
yes. Yeah, staying in the game and
Yeah.
man, and just taking those leaps of faith. I know Steve Harvey has that book, was it Act Like a Success, Think Like a Success, and he's always talking about jumping. That like at
Yep.
some point you just gotta jump.
You just gotta jump.
Just do it. Do it. What's the worst you can do? What's the worst that can happen? That like it didn't go the way you planned. Okay. Like
right.
That's it.
Exactly.
You learned from it. That's fine.
But you learn from it. And I'm learning that lesson too. There's times where I'm like, well, we could use more business and we can do this. And then I'm like, Calvin, you got to stay in this fight.
Yeah.
You got to keep making belief happen. Just, you can do this. And now I'm starting to talk to people. I was on the phone with people with Fortune 500 companies, and I'm telling them today, hey, you're thinking about your whole strategy wrong. And I'm thinking in my mind, like, who am I to say that?
Wow.
But then after I said it, they were like, you know what? You're right. And I was like, wow. Oh my gosh. Wow. I see what's happening. Yeah. I see what's happening. I believe in me. Oh my gosh. I got the answers.
Yes.
And so it's kind of that thing where I'm saying, all right, I got to stay in this process and not just look for, oh man, Oprah's going to deliver me because she saw me and she's going to make me famous. And
wow.
That's what sometimes you hope. You'd be like,
that's true.
Well, if Oprah posts about me, then I might get, discovered by the masses.
Right.
But I'm like, you know what? I'd rather have this journey of learning my worth and knowing how to do this through my own talent than versus somebody just giving me a handout. It's just something rewarding about knowing I went through a process, I learned it, and I figured it out.
Ooh, you got me crying, Calvin.
You're not supposed to be crying.
I'm not supposed to be crying, but like you're hitting me in so many spaces. And like, I'm just so glad I get to be this transparent with my audience because you guys already know, those that listen to my podcast, and everyone knows at this point that I'm Kevin Alushala's little sister, right? And so I've never wanted to be that person that says, let me get my fame through my brother. I don't, right. I love my brother too much to even use him as such a tool, right? For my own thing. And he's been so gracious with me and how he's coaching me through a process that he also had to go through, right?
Right.
Because he appreciated the process. He appreciated that.
Ain't nothing wrong with being Janet. Look.
I'm just, oh Lord Jesus.
Ain't nothing wrong with being Janet.
You right. Because Janet still got it. Okay.
She still got it. He
still got it. Exactly. And like she too, like, and I love Janet Jackson. Like she had to realize I am not my brother's.
Yeah, I'm in control.
I have my own talents. I have my own skills. I have my own dreams. And I don't have to live vicariously through the Jackson name to even get that. I am in and of myself capable, whether or not I have this name, to get to where I'm trying to go. Right.
Yeah.
And so I'm Calvin, you got me. She
believes in herself.
Oh, Jesus, I'm crying. I needed to hear this because I was actually just speaking to my manager, who I love her to death. She has been such a support to me in this journey to step out in faith and, putting out content that actually connects with people and hits them on a deep level, and that they want to have these conversations with me, whether it's through my public speaking or through my podcast or, through coaching with me, however it is that I can connect with people. And we talked about this concept of being in a 2020, 2021 world where you saw this and I'm actually curious, I'm going to ask you this question too, but
Mhm.
you saw this blow up online where
Mhm.
everyone realized that we're all online right now, right? And so everyone was
Mhm.
doing these like, I made 6 figures in 7 hours and I will teach you how to do it too, just like me, to become an influencer before the sun sets. Like, it's
Mhm.
everywhere. It is everywhere. Everyone is
Mhm.
bombarding you. There are ads all over
Yeah.
social media right now on how to make big money in a day, in 3 days, in
Mhm.
a week,
Yeah.
and then try to keep that up. And I was like, how it's so uncomfortable to be enticed by the offer, but not wanting to fall for it either.
Mhm. Yeah.
Because I'm sitting here going, I kind of, as much as I want people to hear my message today and like everybody, I want it to be global right now. Like I picture it. At the same
Mhm.
time, I kind of like the opportunity that I have to grow slow because I have room to mess up. I have
Mhm.
room to figure out what balance I need instead of it happening overnight and thinking, crap, now I have to keep this up. Like,
Yeah.
I haven't even gotten my footing yet. And it just, here we are overnight. And everyone's following me. I have a zillion followers. I'm getting campaign ads. I'm doing, and it's like, I don't know what's going on. I haven't even processed my process yet. I'm still learning it every
Mhm.
day. I'm trial and erroring things constantly. And
Yeah.
so I needed to hear this today. I
Well,
needed to
good.
hear that I don't have to look for the quick ways to get where I truly want to be. Like if there was a way for me to have it already, it would only be
Yeah.
because it's like I already know the process. Like, but I know I don't. I don't have the
Yeah.
full process yet because this is my first time being a full-time entrepreneur. I've done
Yeah.
it on the side. So this is completely different and I want to do it well. I want to do it a good service.
Well, you are doing it well, and you got to start somewhere. It's like this one quote I love. It says, "Start with what's necessary, then
Mm.
what's possible, and suddenly you're doing the impossible."
Wow.
You just start with what you needed to do, and then what's next? What's next? Start with what's necessary, then what's possible, and that's where you're at. You're at what's possible for Candace, and that's what you start working toward.
Yeah.
And the next thing you know, you look back 2 years from now and be like, can you believe what's going on with my podcast?
Man.
And people will be like, all I got to do is listen to all her episodes, and I've watched her go through the whole entire journey.
Mm.
Because that's one of the things that I thought too. I was like, when I was working on my documentary, which I didn't get to finish, but I will one day. But I was thinking, what would it be like if Oprah or Tyler Perry had really recorded a documentary of their days struggling to make it? That would be
Wow.
so great to watch, wouldn't it?
Yes.
It would be pure gold if Oprah had kept a diary
Mm.
that was from 1982. Like today I did my first episode, and guys, it was hard. I felt, it was the people, these white people didn't like me, or that, there was
Mm.
racism or whatever,
Mm.
and just if she could have chronicled, documented her whole journey, that would be TV gold.
Mm.
But you got to look and see yourself as, well, I'm Candace.
Yeah.
You document yours now through here.
Yes.
And so then when people say, how did Candace make it? You can go back and listen to these episodes. And it's like, oh my gosh, this is when Candace just started her podcast. And she's on this episode with this guy named Calvin, and she's crying about how it's hitting her. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
that's what people really want to see from people we follow.
Yeah.
It's the how to, and you're documenting the how to in real time on your podcast.
Mm.
You're
Man.
documenting your first step. So don't stop stepping.
Mm.
Just document it. And if it gets hard and there's an episode that's just, I'm struggling, then that's a good episode.
Yeah.
But keep
Yeah.
documenting it. Keep documenting the steps.
Mm. I love that. That's a word for everybody.
Yeah, keep documenting the steps.
Because people need to hear our testimonies.
They do, and that's how
They
you
do.
overcome. That's because you go back and listen to your documentary.
Yeah. Yep.
And that's how it is. It's like, I guarantee you, if there was a documentary on Oprah in those seasons, we will all be set free.
Mm.
I mean, seriously, like, not all. I don't mean that spiritually. Like, I'm not in the place of Jesus or anything. I just mean in the space of career.
Yeah.
It would make sense because you already know where she's at.
Right.
And you're seeing this is what she dealt. I dealt the same thing she's dealt with.
Right.
She had to leave a good paying job to get this. Or I didn't know she only made $30,000 when she started. I didn't know that.
Mm.
Or something like that. Or I didn't know Tyler Perry slept in his car,
Mm.
for his first play,
Man.
So anyway, you just keep doing what you're doing and keep documenting, and keep telling your story and keep giving hope to people. It'll pay off. Believe
Wow.
me.
Wow.
And then I'll
Thank
be
you.
calling you like, hey, you remember me?
Okay. Okay.
No, I'm
Like, who's
serious.
that?
But I'm a late bloomer, Candace. You know what I mean? I'm in my 40s, and it's the enemy will try to take your hope by you're too late and you're not married and you're not this. I'm like, I'm a late bloomer, bro.
Mm.
I'm going to bloom, but it just may not be as quick as you wanted it to be, but I'm going to bloom and I'm
Thank
going to
you.
enjoy my life.
Yes, yes. I received
So,
that.
yeah.
I received that. Man. Oh,
Mm-hmm.
well, I'm a blubbering fool today. That's totally fine. I'll let it all out. This is real stuff. This is real stuff. And I know that a lot of you guys are struggling in a space probably similar to mine where you're taking leaps of faith or you're sitting there contemplating whether or not you should take that leap of faith. Man, take the jump if it's really on your heart to do it and trust the process. Trust the process. Give yourself time. Were you ever were you frustrated with seeing how people were utilizing the online space and like trying to get famous quick last year with the pandemic? Like, was that a distraction for you?
Oh yeah, I hate those people. I hate those people, but I'm learning. This is going to bless you right here.
Mm.
So I was going through maybe about 3 years ago, right? The year before I met Oprah or seen Oprah and speak.
Mm-hmm.
My buddy Bob Goff, I had visited him one New Year's Eve
Mm-hmm.
in San Diego. And I had said to him, I said, Bob, I don't know what to do with my jobs. I don't know whether I should stay or leave. And I don't know if I should travel with Michael W. Smith anymore. I don't know what I'm doing. And he just said, hey, did you see that lemon tree that was outside my front yard? I said, yeah, I saw that. I was like, man, you got lemons in San Diego in his front yard. He said, well, let me ask you this. He said, how do you think, what's the proper way to pick a lemon tree? I said, well, I think you would just go and grab it when you think it's ripe and pick it off the tree. Is that correct? And he was like, no, that's not correct. He said, the way you pick a lemon tree is from the ground.
Wow.
He said, when it's ripe, it'll fall.
Mm.
And you don't have to worry about it. He said, that's just in life. When it's ripe, it'll fall. And you're going to be picking it from the ground and not off the tree. So if it hasn't fallen yet, just let it stay on the tree until it falls. The ripe ones are on the ground. And so I was like, now that's the word. I was like, that'll preach.
Yes.
And so that was the season for me. At that time, certain things hadn't fallen yet, But like I'm in a season right now where, this might be too TMI, but I've sing with Michael W. Smith for many years. Mm. Well, for whatever reason, this fall, he decides to go a different route and not have me to go and sing.
Mm.
I'm kind of like, oh, but I want to keep singing. I want to keep singing.
Mm.
But the lemon fell off
Mm.
the tree. So
Man.
I just have to look at it and say, you know what? It's right for me to do something else. I may need to start tapping in to this podcast because guess what? See, what you don't realize, guess when the first show of Michael W.'s fall tour is? Guess when it is?
When is it?
Tonight.
Are you yo? Uh uh
And I'm getting texts while I'm on your podcast. Are you here at the show, Calvin? We're here to see you. I'm like, I'm not there with him anymore.
wow.
You see what I'm saying? But sometimes
Yeah.
you gotta let the limit fall,
Mm.
and then you be like, God's got me doing something totally new. I'm speaking to young people. I'm speaking to people about their dreams. I'm speaking
Mm.
to people about their hopes. That's
Wow.
the season that God has me in. What did you do tonight, y'all? Oh, well,
Mm.
I sang with Michael W. Oh, well, I spoke to hundreds of people through this young girl's podcast and gave them
Mm.
hope about their dreams.
Wow.
And then, yeah, I'm no longer with Michael W. Smith and we're friends. Nothing's wrong. It's just God has me in a new season.
Yes.
Instead of me being mad, I just need to embrace it and say, you know what? I'm going to make the best out of this. I'm going to be the best podcast guest she ever had. And I'm going to do this and do it for the next podcast. So they
Yes.
may get off the tour next year and be like, well, what are you doing, Calvin? I'm speaking at doing a TED talk.
Hey.
You know,
Receive
like
that.
I'm doing, you know,
Yes.
but that's how these things kind of work. You know what I mean? Like
Mm.
you got to steward the season that you're in. And if the lemon fell off the tree, then it's like, hey,
Mm.
it's right, you
That's
know,
right.
and it's just right. And it's just like I gotta keep moving. So don't you quit, my sister.
Mm.
God's got his hand on you, and he's always had his hand on you, and you're gonna do great things for sure.
Wow. Thank you. Man, I'm a hot mess. I'm just me and Jesus are gonna have a really great conversation later.
Hey, I've been there. I had to make my therapist this, you know, it was so crazy. I mean, I'm just being an open book. I met with my therapist about certain things that I was dealing with today.
Yeah.
And I was even thinking like, I don't even know if I want to pay you to do my services today because I just need to save some money, you know? And next thing I know, I just started talking about who I believed I was able to be in the earth as far as marketing is concerned.
Mm.
Do you know that the therapist just said, well, can we just barter? Can I just
Wow.
provide therapy for you today, but you help me become better at marketing my business?
Oh my gosh.
And then I walked out, didn't have to pay $300.
Oh my gosh.
So there is something to say about believing in yourself and just really believe that you have something that people need. You have it. You have it. You know, they just got to see it.
Yeah.
That's why thank you for your patience, you know, with recording, because this evening, all the distractions are just trying to come. They know they know that I have something to say.
Mm.
And so you have something to say and just keep your focus and it'll, like Oprah says, just focus on your next right move.
Yeah.
And it'll all unfold like it's supposed to.
Yeah.
So.
Yep. Man.
We love you guys.
We do. We
boom, boom,
do.
Mic drop.
Yes. I mean, guys, seriously, everything that Calvin has said is so accurate that, you know, we're often convinced that we don't have much to offer. And it doesn't make sense that you out here breathing in this earth and you don't have something to offer it. Even the most delicate flower has something to offer us.
Yeah.
Even if it's just shining bright in its beautiful color for a few months out of the year. That was a purpose that only that flower could give.
Right.
And so, ooh, do not lose hope. And I'm speaking to myself as well. Do not lose hope. Do
Mhm.
not lose faith. Keep stepping, even when it feels
Mhm.
slow in a world that wants everything today. We live in a very
Mhm.
microwave world, and yet we're meant to be crock pot,
Come on, crock
seasoned,
pots.
seasoned,
Yeah.
marinated, even the
Come on,
pressure
dinner.
cooker, okay?
You
Coming
got
out
me
a
hungry.
whole 7-course meal over here,
Come on,
okay?
crock pots.
Come on, crock pots, pressure cookers. This is
Yeah, I'm a crock pot.
boom. You see that? You see that? Like the flavors that
Yes,
come
it's gonna
out.
taste better.
It's gonna taste so
Hmm.
much better. I'm not trying to have a zap it and serve it
Yeah,
type of to me, this is ministry.
yeah. This ain't a.
Everything I do
Hmm.
is a testament of who God is. And I'm just
Amen.
here to showcase that. Whether or not you believe in God or not, and I know some of my people's listening, they don't believe in God, but that's okay because I know that God's always showing himself through me, and I want him to do that as freely as possible. And I know he's a slow
Mhm.
cooker. He likes to marinate. He
Yep.
uses all the seasonings. He's not a salt and pepper type of God. He wants all the paprika,
Yeah.
okay, the turmeric. Come on now, guys.
Garlic. Come
The
on. All
garlic.
that.
You know what I'm
Oh my
saying?
God.
Like we hire adobo, okay?
Yep.
Like the Lord's got seasonings, he's got flavors, and I want to be a part of his process and take that seriously and not feel discouraged because I'm on slow cook and everyone else
Yep.
is trying to say that life is better in a microwave. It looks flashy and great, but I want to sit in the flavors.
Come on, sit in the flavors. That's
Yes.
the word. That's the encouraging word. Sit in the flavors.
Sit in the flavors, guys. Just come out tasting real good in this world because, especially
Mm-hmm.
with how the world's going, we need flavorful people
Yeah.
willing to marinate,
Yep.
willing to marinate. Yeah,
Yep.
dude.
Well,
Thank
thank
you.
you.
Thank
No,
you.
thank you. You're awesome, and it's
Oh,
been a pleasure
man.
being a part of this show.
Yes. My heart is full. How can people find your content other than going obviously on common.agency? Are there other ways that they can see your stuff? Do you have like a YouTube channel or anything?
Yeah, it's Come On Creative. So find me on Instagram at Calvin Noel, CalvinNowell, and Come On Creative is our handle on all channels as well. So I'm working on all my stuff, working it out, trying to get it together.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, y'all just find me
Yes.
and let's connect.
Yes. Guys, please connect. He really truly is an open book and he's honest and heartfelt and hilarious, as you could tell. And so he's really, really good people to connect with if you haven't already. Highly encourage that. And I just want to thank you guys so much for listening to today's episode. If you want more episodes like this, if you have even guests that you think would have a great story to tell on the show, send me DMs, hit me up at First Basso on Instagram, or you can hit me up on my personal page. It's just at Candace Olushala. And you can always go to www.firstbasso.com and find me there, message me there, and find out what I'm doing on there as well. My website pretty much has everything there for you to kind of peruse what I have to offer if you're looking for a coach, a mentor, opportunities to speak to any groups that you think I could serve powerfully and honestly. I would love those opportunities. So, but the best thing you could do with this is share, let people know that this episode impacted you and why. And then, of course, share those thoughts and moments with me, because I love to be encouraged by you guys as well. So thank you guys again. Please stay safe. The Rona is still out here. She ain't playing with nobody. Okay. So please make sure you take care of yourself and of each other. Dude, Calvin, we will talk.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you
you
guys for having me.
Yes.
And I will talk to you soon, Candace.
Yes. Thanks, Calvin. Take care. Bye.